from the mobile app.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cammy's Garage. We're live here this afternoon, and I have a very special guest in the shop today, Daryl Jones of Dreadknot Woodshop. So I occasionally watch, I'm sorry Daryl, I don't watch all your videos, but occasionally watch your videos, and I know you do a lot of CA finishes. I have tried a CA finish in the past and have not had success, so I was wondering if you could help me figure out and show me how to do a good CA finish. I see you have lots of very pretty things that you made with the CA finish. Beautiful, beautiful work. And I have not had success with the CA finish. So can you show me, Daryl?
Absolutely.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So what's that?
So this is a chunk of, what's this?
No, sorry.
Oh.
That is walnut right there. And Daryl brought his own tools today, so he's got a Robert Sorby chuck on here with a spur center. And Daryl's a gamer like I am, or at least used to be. Daryl's far too busy these days to play games like I do.
Trying to get close.
Daryl's also brought a lot of his own tools. Why are you here in town anyway, Daryl?
Actually, I'm here to do the, I'm going to be doing demos for Robert Sorby at the Man Tool event here in Columbia, South Carolina. And Cammy was nice enough to invite me over to hang out a little bit. Today's my prep day, so I did that this morning, and I have some free time this afternoon, so Cam figured I'd come by and play.
Sweet. And I thank you for coming over.
Let me grab a couple of tools over here.
It was great meeting you. So you and Chad used to have a podcast. Do you still do the podcast?
No, we don't. There may be some loose talk of something else.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see. So this is my usual assortment that I travel with. We'll start with
They're
this.
very beautiful tools. Are those Robert Sorby tools?
Yes, these are the Robert Sorby Excelsiors. That's why they're gold colored. And the Excelsior, this is a titanium nitride coating, which allows you to get a much sharper edge on the end of the tools. Alright, so we'll probably use those. Yep, I think that'll be it. Alright, so let's do it. I'll just go back. So I'm gonna attempt to make a little form. Actually, I do need one more thing. There's a it looks like a wide parting tool. You almost got it. Right next to
This?
the roughing gouge. Right next to the roughing gouge.
The,
One tool.
this
over
one?
where you were.
This one.
That one.
All right.
That's what I use for my tenons. Oops. It's not using my tools. Alright.
Yeah, you don't want to damage your tools. Although you can. I do have a grinder over here. So if you need to sharpen.
Let's see. So I usually don't use the roughing gouge to rough out my blanks. I normally use the bowl gouge. Let's see.
You want some safety glasses?
Yeah,
or
a shield.
Well, you can use that shield if you like.
Okay. I like it. Dark Maul.
Yeah, unfortunately my horns are kind of looking a little sad these days.
Did you make that?
They were just some Halloween things that I had lying around, but I painted it by hand and glued those on there. Yeah, you might have to adjust the size.
Yeah, I got a lot of hair. And a big head, so,
You still have your glasses on up there too.
I actually need those these days. I like the shield.
Yeah, it's pretty, it works well, I think.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and use the roughing gouge. Let's see.
Oh wait, I should put my safety glasses on. I guess that would be bad if I had get shavings in my face.
I've never actually used the B model before. That's the C model that I have was my first experience with Powermatic.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the fire zone, just like. So I just use this top wing right here. Just come in. I'm going to be using the face mask, so I'll take this off. Because it's fogging up everything. So, show good habits, turn it off before I move it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I always turn the lathe off when I move my banjo.
I always say I do. Should be.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for joining us.
I'm not sick, it's just walnut.
I understand.
Cracks me up. Okay, so good and round there. So now put a 10 in.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Michael. Daryl is going to show me how to do a CA finish today, so we're just doing a little form. Glad you could be here, Dave. I have a cousin named Dave Porter. I don't think you're the same Dave Porter, though.
So let's see. We probably should have made that a little shorter. Let me grab a parting tool and part that off. There
Well,
should
there's
be
one right behind you.
On the right. In the pocket on the right.
Oop.
Insert. So I go ahead and part this off a little bit. Let's see. Thinking about there. How complicated do you want to go with this thing?
I just want to see the finish. You don't have to make anything special.
Okay. So I'll go about half then.
Well, hopefully Daryl can show us how to do a good CA finish. Yeah, I had trouble doing a CA finish when I tried it, so hopefully Daryl can give me and you some tips today.
Yeah, I've been, I started out doing it, and it was taking me, wow, that's way bigger than I intended it to be. That's no good. I have to do that again. Wow. Way bigger than I intended. Put that back in there. But I was doing it, I've been doing it for a while, and I decided at one point, the process was getting a little too lengthy for me. And so I decided that I was going to try to figure out what I could take away from the process to make it simpler. And in doing that, it really, well, you can be the judge for yourself, but it really helped to simplify the process a lot and make it, it's been, pretty easy to share the method that I use with other people. So hopefully it'll work out good. And it's a little off, but I'll just do a little touch up here, and we'll be back at it. That ought to work. Alright, so we got it rounded up. So just turn the shape on the outside and we'll do the get to the finish. So we grab different tools. Let's see. Just a little bit smaller bowl gouge to make it easier to work. It's easier to work with a piece this size. So speed up. So go ahead and round this out. And then get it a little. Okay. And then we're gonna. Get a little 220. We'll clean that.
On the right side is the 220. That one right there, yep.
Okay.
Thanks to my partner Unita for supplying the abrasives for Cammy's garage.
Alright. So when you're sanding, you don't want to be. When you're sanding, you want to keep your speed relatively low, because sanding at high speed, all it does is heat up the abrasive and dull your paper faster. So you should just have to do just a little bit here. You don't have to go, if you're doing a CA finish, you don't have to go crazy on the sanding, so you don't need to sand it up to 1,000 grit or anything like that. The most important thing about a CA finish is that the final surface is flat. That is the most important part.
Hey Dutch Turner, thanks for joining us.
Let's see how that goes.
For those of you that just got here, we're just turning a simple form, so Daryl of Dreadknot Workshop here can show me how to do a CA finish.
Okay, we can hollow it out later. You have compressed air?
Unfortunately, I do not have compressed air. Nope, sorry.
Okay. Alright.
Wish I did. I can give you a rag if you want.
Yeah, if you have
To
like
wipe
a
it.
microfiber or something like that. that'd be great.
Not really. I just have like old t-shirts or
That'll work.
I have what do you call it? A Scotch-Brite pad?
This will work. This is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So I like to use compressed air because especially with walnut, and walnut has although it's not nearly as coarse as oak or ash or anything like that, it does have a fairly open pore structure, and that can interfere with the final. Depends on what you're looking for in your CA finish. I mean, if you want a glass-like finish, you really want to have that top surface to be flat, and you can't do that when you have these open pores. So when using the open pored material, I also like to use the compressed air to get the little bits of dust out of there, but for the purposes of our demo, I think we'll be good. Let's see. I'm gonna try yours.
Oh, that's really old, dude. It's probably.
I find that Starbond, I've not had any of it go bad
Okay.
and not be able to use it. So There should be some blue shop tiles behind you,
Mhm.
strips. Thank you, sir. So this right here is fairly key to my application process. So what I do is these are blue shop towels, and I basically cut the shop towel in half, and then I stack them up and I cut them into approximately 1-inch strips. And I'll do about 3 applications per strip, and typically I do 12, so I got 4 here, and that really helps because I don't have to worry about losing my count as I'm applying it. Where are you? Activator. So here we go. So I do all of the, let's see, I've done small forms, big forms, and I do with the CA. The Starbond allows a lot of working time, so you can.
Yeah, sorry the mask doesn't stay down.
It's okay. All right, so basically what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this one, and I just fold it in half, and I'm gonna put a little bit of CA on the very end of this. Oh, you have gloves?
I do have gloves, yes. I can give you
I
some
can't
gloves.
believe I didn't remember to bring those.
Couple
So,
of fresh
believe it or
gloves
not-
for you.
Believe it or not, the best gloves to use are also the cheapest ones to buy. The gloves they use in food prep, they kind of look like 2 sheets of plastic and they heat seal them around the edges. You know which ones I'm talking about? Those actually CA won't stick to them because they're made out of high density polyethylene, which is coincidentally the same thing that these bottles are made out of, and it won't stick to the CA won't be able to stick to you. So, but these will work as well. Okay, so now we're all set. So we're gonna put a little bit on here, and then we're just gonna apply that. And this is pretty thirsty because I didn't blow it off, so we got a little bit of extra dust in there. Something else, the fumes from this is pretty bad usually. So what I find works really well.
That's why we have the doors open.
Yeah. What I find that works really well is to put a fan behind you, blowing away, and that will make it much easier to deal with the fumes. So as you build this up, it'll start to seal off those pores, right? So what I do is I do 2 coats, just like that, and then I'll do 1 spritz of activator. And I'll show you why I do that, and then I'll do 1 more coat, and I'm gonna show you why I apply it here. And this is the only time that I'm gonna apply activator, with the exception of finishing the piece, all right? So, okay. So what we wanna do at this point is we wanna take a look at it. Because I use that spritz of activator, this coat's gonna set up pretty quickly. And we can look at it and see if there's any issues. Because some materials will bubble up kind of like an orange peel. This is the best time to deal with that. You don't want to build up layers and layers and layers. This is the best time to deal with that. You can, and if you're having any kind of problems, you can sand it back almost to bare wood, which will basically allow the CA to act as a sanding sealer for subsequent coats. Now this looks pretty good. I'm fairly happy with that, so I'm going to continue. So I'm going to put the rest of the coats on, and I'm not going to do any more activator until I'm done, till I'm finished. So I'm just gonna fold this in half, and I'm gonna do like I did previous. I'm gonna do 3 applications per towel, and I'm gonna do them as, you know, I mean, there's no point in there's no real rush here, but I can do them as quickly as I can manage to flip this rag around and do my applications here. Okay. You know, I did this demo in Texas at SWAT, and they didn't have a lathe for me, but Starbond wanted me to do live demos, so I was doing bottle stoppers. And what I did is I have a little right angle drill that I use as my power sander at the lathe, and I made a little jig out of plywood to make this thing stand up, and I had like a pipe clamp to use as a speed control on the trigger.
I think I remember seeing that on Instagram.
And
That was ingenious.
that's what I use. It's my carry-on approved lathe.
That's great.
People got a good giggle out of that.
Yeah.
But you can see that this is making for a pretty nice finish already.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what I did wrong. Did I not do it quickly enough, or I left
doesn't
the
matter.
towel on too long?
It doesn't matter. I could walk away from this right now and be gone for several days and come back and finish it up and get the same result. So there's that. All right. So that's the end of it. Another thing that's helpful with CA, right, is when you finish applying it, because you've undoubtedly gotten some CA on the tip of the nozzle, just take a towel and wipe it off, and then that'll keep your cap fitting well. Because if you don't do that, eventually, your cap will sit way up here because the tip of the thing
The
is
buildup
grown
of the-
with all the CA.
Yeah.
So now this is where I put that second spritz of activator just to harden it up so that I can rush into the next thing. Now see this little area back here? Now that is something that I would have been looking for on those first 3 coats, but it didn't show up then. And I would sand that back. But this is not a big deal. We're going to be able to deal with that here in just a minute. So let's make sure it's dry. Get a little bit more of this activator. All right, give that a sec. And once it dries, then we're gonna, I'm gonna show you how I usually dry sand it flat, and then I'll wet sand it to polish it with micro mesh. Okay, I think we're good now. Yeah, I think we're good. So, do you have some 320 or higher?
The best I have is 400. That blue stuff right behind you.
Perfect. So we're gonna take some of this, make sure we're dry. Yep. So we're gonna take a little bit of this. Can I tear a piece?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like to work with smaller pieces. So when I'm flattening the finish, I actually prefer to do most of it with the lathe off. So what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll start, and like what I'm looking for is I want to do this. I want this finish to be flat, right? So what I'm looking for is when I do that, see the shiny spots are the low spots. These are the places where basically the sandpaper is just hitting all the peaks of the highest points on this finish. So what I want to do is I want to get the entire thing to look like this. I want the entire thing to be dull. So I'm going to work this, take a little bit of time to get that down. And it doesn't take that long to work through it. You can do it with the lathe on as well. I normally do a little bit of both.
Do you feel there's an advantage to doing it by hand rather than having the lathe on?
Not in the beginning. Like for these early bits, it's probably advantageous to do it with the lathe on. But when you get down past the initial sanding, then there's going to be like little spots that you need to work individually. And that's when I feel like it's better by hand. So the key to like what I would call an ultimate finish, which would have very little, it would have very little distortion in your reflections, is the getting this surface flat. So we know we have that one little trouble spot, so we're gonna work that by hand. Now the other thing I want to mention about this is this. Okay, this is down to my my friend Joy would say this is because I'm persnickety. Like I have some level of perfection or perceived perfection that I'm always after. But I want to make it perfectly clear that at this point right here, this is enough, right? And you could finish it off from here and it will look fabulous, right? But if you're looking for that, you're looking for that close to museum quality finish with no distortions, that's where this comes in and that's where this pays off, and that's where you want to spend the time to get those low spots out. I'm not actually going to take them all out because I want to be able to use this as a teachable moment to show you the difference. All right, so I'm probably going to leave that in there, but I'm going to go over this whole thing and look at it and see where I'm at, see if I'm happy before I move on to the next thing. We're going to need some water, like a little container with water in it.
I have a water sprayer,
Okay.
if that's okay with you.
Well, it'd be better just to have a little container with water in it. Because we're going to use the micro mesh pads to wet sand it.
Okay, hang on. I'll get a cup of water.
Okay. You know, walnut is one of those.
Water for you.
Thank you. Walnut is one of those materials that I have the most problems with CA. So this is going to give me lots of opportunities to talk about potential issues that you may have when you're doing CA. Because I don't know if it's some kind of resin or sap or something inside a walnut that gives me problems more often than anything else.
I'm glad I gave you a challenge then.
Yeah.
Well, I have more walnut than anything in the shop here, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous because coming by walnut in Florida is tough. So, like I said, I'm not gonna go for like perfection. Like you can see, there's a couple of little low spots there. But go ahead and feel that, Cammy. And I mean, really, it's imperceptible to the touch.
Very nice, very nice.
And part of this whole thing is really, it's really tactile. I mean, the difference on a CA finish that you go back and finish the finish, which is what we're doing here, flattening it out and buffing it and all that. It really makes a huge difference in the way it feels. So let's see what I have in my cases upon cases of travel junk. Let's move some stuff around. I have my micro mesh pads in here. They're definitely out of order. So, let's see here. I know that's the finest one. That's the first one. Let's see. Pretty sure. Next one. I've been using these for a long time, so they don't have a lot of color left in them. That one, that one, that one, that one. Not exactly sure that these are in the right order, but they're close enough. You want me to put something on here?
Yeah, I got some old curtains over here that work just fine for that.
Yeah, because I don't want to encourage any spots on your bed.
You can unfold that.
It's pretty fancy. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to just go through and run through these grits. These are the micro mesh pads. These run from, I want to say 1,200 to 12,000.
Damn.
Now, if I was at home, I wouldn't use, what I would actually do at this point is I just take it over to my Beal buffing wheels and buff it. And it would pretty much, I'll get pretty much the same kind of finish from the buffing wheels as I will from this. In fact, I think it's actually a little bit better, but traveling with the buffing wheels is a pain. Now, on the earlier grits, the rougher grits, it helps to take some of that sanding grit off. But as you get into the finer grits, you don't really have to do that. So we're going to go through them. And you'll also spend the most time with the first couple of grits, and then after that you'll just kind of run over them and be done. Alright. Like I said, we'll just run through them now. And I don't think you really need to use all 9 of these, but we'll just go through them anyway.
Sure.
Another thing that I find is when you do your CA finish, it's pretty, you know, a lot of people like to follow things up with wax, but the wax won't achieve as high a sheen as the CA, so you'll actually be reversing a little bit of the work you've done. So I do not recommend waxing it afterwards. And probably you'll be pretty happy with what you got at this point anyway, so probably not really even a conversation. So, yeah, a little bit of... Now, if I could buff this, it would be a little bit better, but got a little bit of... I don't know what that is. I don't think I sanded through it in a couple places, but... But you can...
Yeah, I certainly get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice, man.
And then buffing
Yeah,
it
there's some weird junk right there.
Yeah, I think I sanded through it when I was going for the high spots.
Okay.
Now, then, the other thing about this, too, is at this point, there's absolutely nothing stopping you from... So if you get done and you're not real happy with some parts, that definitely I sanded through. There's just not much there. There's not much CA right there. But we can go back right now and we can put more CA on there. And we could build up a couple more coats and then buff this out, and this will be, you know, you wouldn't even know that was there. So, but this is just a quick demo, just showing you how to do it. But you can feel that. And,
oh my goodness.
And here's the thing I
So
was talking
smooth.
about with the low spots, right? So I don't know if the camera's going to show it, but there are some low spots in here. See if we can find that one part. Like back in here is where we were having the difficulty, right? With the little bubbling up of the finish, but you run your fingers over it, you cannot feel it. And it feels absolutely awesome.
Silky smooth.
Yeah. So
Sweet. Well, thanks a lot, Daryl. I really appreciate you showing me that process. And it's cool to hang out with you today. We're going to hang out here and shoot the stuff a little while longer. And hopefully, maybe we can see you tomorrow at Mantool here in Columbia. So if you're in and around the Columbia area, check out Mantool tomorrow and Wednesday. And say hi to maybe me and most certainly Daryl.
yeah.
And check out Daryl's channel as well, Dreadknot Workshop. He's also on, is it
Woodshop.
Woodshop? I'm sorry, I was calling it Workshop. Woodshop. So you're on Instagram.
Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, you name it.
All right. Cool,
All right,
buddy.
thanks.
Thanks for everyone for watching, and we'll see you again soon in Cammy's garage.